million US dollars syndicated loan facility for the trading arm of Mohammed Enterprises Tanzania Limited, one of Tanzania's largest diversified company. To discuss this and other issues, I'm joined in the studio by Mohammed Dewji, who is the CEO of Mohammed Enterprise Tanzania Limited. Thank you so much for joining us, Mohammed. Let's start, and I suppose the starting point, let's actually talk about Mohammed Enterprises Tanzania. What do you do? What kind of business are you in?
Yes, historically, MeTL started as a trading house, so mainly import-export. Then, of course, the government came up with very good policies that we need to have value addition, we need to have manufacturing industries. So then we kind of got into and diversified into manufacturing. So we still continue being one of the largest trading houses in Tanzania and in the region, but we've gone into manufacturing, so edible oil, soap, grain milling, so wheat milling to wheat flour, maize to maize flour, rice milling, plastics, water, juice, textiles. Then we went into agriculture. So we've got tea gardens, we're into sisal, we're into cashew, we process cashews, we're into financial services, we have an insurance company, we're into mobile telephony, we're one of Vodacom's biggest super dealers. So in general, this company is a trading house, manufacturing, industry, distribution. We have distribution countrywide. This is how we manage to corner the Unilevers of this world.
So a diversified, very diversified business. Let's talk about that $100 million loan facility from RMB. Just take us through the mechanics of the deal and what do you plan to do with the funds?
Perfect. We initially started 5 years ago with 7.5 million, and that has grown in 5 years to 100 million because the company's revenues have jumped up 30-folds. We're doing about $800 million revenue. This year we're going to do $1 billion. So obviously they are financing all these particular products, export-oriented products, import-oriented products, raw material. So everything, again, grain, edible oil, sugar, maize, rice, anything that I trade in, they're fully financing us. And of course it's a syndicated loan, and Citibank and China Construction Bank is also involved, and they're trying to raise even more money through Rabo and Nedbank that hopefully will join the syndication, so the number will become even bigger.
I want to talk about Tanzania's growth story. We know Tanzania's economy has been resilient to shocks, and I was just going through the research, quite a strong GDP growth forecast of 6.8% last year, 7.1% for this year expected, well above regional averages. What's been the key driver?
It's key that Tanzania is beautiful. It's a gateway to Eastern Central Africa, 1. 2, we're neighboring 8 countries. So you talk about Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, Eastern Congo, the only port that they need to use is through Tanzania. We have got gold, we have got cotton, we have got tobacco, we have coffee, we have sisal, and now we've hit gas. We're talking about 60 trillion cubic feet of gas. That's a lot of money, and I'm very bullish. It is going to be the largest economy by 2020 in that Eastern Central African region.
Mohammed, commentators have said the private sector is the engine of growth in East Africa, and reports suggest the private sector contributes about 80% to the regional economy in terms of wealth creation, job creation, poverty reduction, all sorts of things. But to what extent, though, is the sector involved in the formulation of policy?
See, initially we weren't much involved because Tanzania was a socialist country, but as time is going on, I think the private sector is playing a big role. It is the engine of growth. The government has recognized it, and I'm a member of parliament. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm a member of parliament. I am one of the voices of the private sector in the parliament, and as you know, the has been heard. It's televised. So policies are being made out of what is coming out of parliament, and MPs like me also have dialogues with all different industry leaders, and like we have the Confederation of Tanzania Industries, the Chambers of Commerce. They're taken much more seriously and heard because they know they matter in policy.
You talk about those sectors, and I think it brings me to continents trading blocks. I mean, you've got EAC, you've got COMESA, we've got SADC. Just how relevant are these trading blocks, and do they really play a part in policy formulation as well?
Yes, I think yes. I mean, the East African community, we started off with Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, and then Rwanda, Burundi has come in. Now we've agreed Southern Sudan to join in. You're talking about 200 million people. The whole external tariff has been harmonized. So you bring in any product in Kenya, Uganda, or Tanzania, or any other country within the bloc, the tariff is harmonized. It's 0-0, and then we get to trade for free within. So it's a much larger market, and whoever has that competitive advantage benefits. Initially, yes, it was difficult. People were insecure, so we went with taxes. Let's say Kenya was a much more bigger economy and was far more industrialized. So we said, okay, 5 years, goods coming into Tanzania will tax them 10, 7.5, 5, 2.5, 0 over 5 years. But from the beginning, Tanzania taking into Kenya, 0. Now, today, all in all, it's all become 0. It's working beautifully well. Talking about COMESA and SADC, yes, there is a confusion there. Some of our countries, like if you look at Kenya, they are part of COMESA with Zambia. We are part of SADC. Now, of course, we enjoy these tariff benefits. Anything you want to import from South Africa, it's tax-free. You have to pay the VAT, vis-a-vis if you see Kenya bringing in from Egypt. So they have their advantages, we have our advantages. Trying to constitute one block, Cape to Cairo, so that Africa becomes one. We trade with no tariffs and taxes.
And that's the picture we want. That's the ultimate picture we want. But there are challenges, I think, when we talk about African trade, be it social, political, legal issues that we need to deal with. And I think the biggest assumption is that we always assume that trading is the same in the different countries. I mean, Africa is not just a block of just one country. Different countries with different regulations.
Very true, very true. I mean, cross-border trading is difficult, like you mentioned. So, I mean, everywhere in life there is challenges. As long as we address those challenges and try to see how to overcome them, but we potentially have to be ready to change. And that's the most important thing.
Let's talk about Africa and Chinese very quickly. I mean, we know the Chinese story. I was in Kenya just recently, and they were talking about a flyover that the Chinese have built. And they really have penetrated the African market. Are we ready for this? Are we benefiting?
I'm positive. I'm inclined positive to the Chinese. Trust me, the Chinese, everybody says they're resource driven, but let's look historically. Today, Tanzania-Zambia railway, there used to be apartheid in South Africa. The Zambians couldn't use the Durban port. They wanted to use the Dar port. They helped us. At that time, we had coal mines, we had gold, but they helped us. They set up manufacturing industries. So I'm saying, yes, there is a negative side where, there's dumping, but we as African economies have to be intelligent. Where we have manufacturing sector, let's say in clothing, we need to protect ourselves from dumping. But let's say if there is no one, let's say in Malawi, manufacturing t-shirts and shorts, and if the Chinese are competitive, we don't want our Africans to keep on wearing second-hand clothing. So there has to be a balance. But all in all, I think the Chinese are doing a brilliant job, and they're helping Africa.
And we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Mohammed.
Thank you so much, Ken.
And that's Mohammed Dewji. He's the CEO of Mohammed Enterprise Tanzania Limited.
News Leader is proudly brought to you in association with the new BMW 7 Series.
Every business, no matter how big or small, needs to manage their expenses in order to remain in business. That's why Eskom has come up with innovative and energy-efficient ways to enable businesses to run their operations. To see how you can reduce your energy usage and save money, log on to eskom.co.za/IDM for advice and business rebates available. Eskom, in partnership with business, managing the use of electricity.